Yeah, the reason why we call ourselves African, if you go to a tribe in Ethiopia, it's called the Afro tribe. This is where the term Africa comes from. I have a precept.
Yeah.
You got it?
Yeah, he's got something.
This is Isaiah chapter 43. I'm going to start at verse 1 and then jump to verse 3. It says, "But now, thus saith the Lord, that created thee, O Jacob, and he that formed thee, O Israel, fear not, for I have redeemed thee. I have called thee by thy name, thou art mine." Verse 3, "For I am Yahweh thy God, the Holy One of Israel, thy Savior. I gave Egypt for thy ransom, Ethiopia and Seba for thee." Meaning they're going to be like, slaves to the Israelites. But basically, what you said, unless Icarot wants to explain anything about Africa.
Go ahead, man. That's your specialty.
Alright, so
I do it.
basically, Ethiopia didn't originate that name. Right, exactly. So you know that the name is Greek, right? So that would mean it came from a Greek person, right? So you've heard of Hannibal before?
Oh yeah, of course.
Right. So Hannibal was a black man.
Not black. You gotta study the secret. Study the secret.
Alright. Regardless though.
Hannibal comes from the Second Punic War.
Right, bro.
Hannibal Barca was the leader of Carthage. Mixing cartilage. Carthage. That's alright. Carthage, right? Hannibal was fighting against Romans.
Yes.
Romans was on their manifest destiny conquest. Feel like the whole earth is theirs. Hannibal was like, no, it's not. Don't come here with that, right? He revolutionized warfare. He fought with elephants. And that was part of his failure because the elephants was only thriving in Africa. And as the war moved through the lands and it got into different terrain, the elephants became useless, you understand? And it got cold as the war pushed on. And Carthage is in northern Africa, right? And some popular belief would have you think that if it's in Africa, it's always hot, right? But it snows in Egypt. You get snow on the ground, right? That's northern Africa.
By the way, northern Africa near Ethiopia.
Yes. Okay, so Hannibal is a so-called Carthaginian, but that's an African, right? That's an African. Carthaginian is an African. So to say he's not a so-called black man, you got to be specific. What you mean by that?
Right, but the so-called Carthaginian people, you have to understand that they were mismoved. You gotta understand that they get the light.
Yo, you got to come. No, you got to come around with the camera. Come next to this.
Yeah, because you have to understand that the Carthaginian people, those people wasn't all the way black. Then you have to understand that it was basically a mixed multitude of people.
Carthage is in Africa.
Right, but during that particular time,
And Hannibal is a so-called African.
So you saying that all those people was black over there?
No, black is not a nationality. He was where Icarot went. He was teaching this. Black is not a nationality. Black is a way to describe complexion. That's it, right? We just told you that Africans and Israelites ain't the same people, but they both black. You understand what I'm saying?
Got melanin. That's dark skin tone.
So to say that Hannibal is not a so-called black person, you gotta explain what you mean. You know what I mean?
But yeah, so what I'm saying is these people during this particular time was not what you call black. If you study the sea people, who was the original people of Europe, these people weren't just all the way black. You have mixed multitude of people.
Carthage is not in Europe.
Here's what I'm saying. These people migrated and different things like that. You also have many different invasions. So Hannibal of Carthage, he was not a so-called black man. He also basically.
So where's his family from?
I'm waiting for him to tell me
His
this.
family was basically what we call, I don't like using the word like a mulatto, but
No. Who told you that?
this is fact.
No, it is not fact.
It would have been impossible because he's a Hamite.
You go ahead and teach me.
He looked like an Ethiopian.
Okay, but we look. Okay,
And that Ethiopian means burnt face, right? So Hannibal is a true Carthaginian. He rose to power through them people.
Show me where it says that. He was
I'm telling you, there's a book you can get. It's called the History of the Second Punic War. Here's where you get it from: portal.getty.edu. I just told you where to get the book, right? Right? I just told you. What you want to type in is Punic War. It's going to be the first result. It's PDF format. The book is from the 1400s.
Second Punic.
That's a primary source. Hannibal is not no mixed mulatto. He's an African, okay? The people that rose up against him, Leo Scipius Africanus.
Yeah. That's what we were getting into. So Leo Scipio Africanus, the white man that beat him from Europe, he's the one that actually came over there. He conquered him, regardless of whatever you're gonna say, because I know what it's gonna be, and we have a response to that argument that you're gonna give because of the fact, we do know what you're about to say because just because you think that he's a mulatto, we know what you're about to say.
Right.
So that's what I'm trying to tell you. So I already know where you're about to go. We already know what to say that's gonna dismantle your facts. So what I'm saying is this. Leo Scipio Africanus, who was a real white man, right? He came from Rome, right? Beat Hannibal's behind, and then
It was hard.
yeah, he did, but he still whooped him though. And then basically changed the whole name of the continent to Africa, because that's what it means in Greek. It means place not cold.
Exactly.
Right? That's what Africa means. So that was the name that the Greeks always called the place there, because the name in Greek, African, how do you say it in Greek?
Afrique.
Yeah, Afrique. There you go. The word Afrique means place not cold. And that's what the Greeks called the place we call Africa, which was called Ham, or what do they call it? Al-Kibulan. That's probably what you think the name was,
And at one
right?
time they called the whole place Ethiopia. At one time.
So watch this though. We said Afrique. Do you know that was a black goddess, right?
No, listen. Afrique is a Greek word meaning not cold. Right? Africanus is a surname that he earned after winning the war. Right? So they named the land Afrique. That was the Greek and Roman way of calling that region. Right? When Leo Scipio went over there and won, he received a surname. Now you are not just Leo Scipius. You are Leo Scipius Africanus.
Just like they gave to the Epiphanes and the Ptolemies and Alexander the Great.
Right, and that's how the Europeans was.
Okay.
So when you say Africa comes from and you give it some other root word, no. The word Africa comes from the Greek word Afrique. To say no is to say, like, how can Africa, wait, no, watch. We're going to make it simple. We're going to make it simple. We're going to make it simple.
I'm listening, brother. Go ahead.
What letter does Africa start with? A, right? The fr sound. What letter do we use in English to make the f sound? F, right? How do you make the F sound in Greek and Roman? Use a PH. The ka sound. How do you make the ka sound in Greek and Roman? Use a Q and a U and an E. Que, right?
Or I.
Or it goes up when you use the I, right? These vowels and all of that comes from Latin, right? People in the land of Ham do not speak Latin. They speak their dialect. So they would never call the place Africa because that is not in their dialect. We try to show you that. So the name Afrique comes from the Greek and Roman.
You said that the name came from Ethiopia.
Right.
Which means that it would have came from Africans, and Africans can't say the word Africa before the white man went down there to go colonize the place.
And that's it.
That's what we're telling you.
That's not what he said.
He did say that. We have it on camera.
He just did say
What
that.
did I say exactly?
You said that
said that
Africa comes from, and then
Ethiopia.
you gave.
No, I didn't.
You
He
gave.
didn't say African Ethiopia. He did not say that. I said it's a tribe. That's what I said. A tribe.
From Ethiopia that gave it the name Africa.
That what you just said?
They're not only
Which means
located
that
in
they come from.
Ethiopia,
Which means the name
located-
comes from
They
Ethiopia.
also located in Egypt as well. This is a real.
That doesn't matter.
Do you know who originated Egypt? The Ethiopians.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
So that would make sense. Either way, they're both Hamites, and they wouldn't have been able to say the word Africa because it's not in their dialect.
That's what we trying to tell
The
you.
same way the Jewish people can't say Yasharallah, and that's the real name of Israel because it's not in their dialect. They have to call it Israel because of their German dialect. That's all they can pronounce. If you ask a white man with a hat and some curly fries, say Yasharallah, he's gonna say Yasarallah.
He don't need
Yasarallah.
We're not talking about that, but when you say that's not in their dialect, what dialect did they speak?
The word Africa is pronounced with the ah, the fra, and the ka.
Do you
Right?
know any
How do
Commission?
you know that? How
Have you ever heard any Commission before?
What dialect did they some of it?
Huh?
No.
Have you heard Commission?
Let me talk.
I'm asking.
Yeah, but I'm trying to
Have you heard the language that the Cushites speak?
This is what I'm saying though. This Commission or Kemetic languages have not all the way been deciphered. A lot of these things they don't really know.
We can deal with
What I'm
that.
telling you is Ethiopian and Egyptian or Commission languages don't have the word Afra in it.
That's not in a dialect.
That's not a word that they pronounce in either one of those dialects.
That's what we're trying to tell you.
Ask a real Egyptian and ask a real Ethiopian, and they will tell you they can't say the word Africa in their real dialect before the white man came over there.
And let me answer his question about how can you prove that. Hold on. Now, the languages that they spoke in Africa, and we're going to call it Africa, so that everybody understands what we're talking about. The language that they spoke there and that they wrote there are called proto-synactic. What is the, right?
You don't even know what that word is.
Relax. Now, proto-synactic.
No, we don't know.
Just let me teach, because they listening.
The
language, yeah, he listening. It's called proto-synactic. You know what that means? That means that the A-E-I-O-U is sometimes Y that we understand in Spanish, German, Dutch, English, Latin, right? Them vowels was not here. They don't write them. They don't use them, okay? Because it's proto-synactic. Any language that's proto-synactic was before those vowels was invented.
Before the white man took over.
So when you go and you look at hieroglyphs and you let Francis Champollion give you what each hieroglyph sound like, there ain't no A, E, I, O, U nowhere. Because they do. You have to. So now, the word Africa has tons of vowels in it that them people do not pronounce. So for you to say that, see, Africa comes from this tribe, and they was called the No, they was not. They would have never even said that. The word that we know as Africa today comes from the Roman pronunciation of not cold, meaning Afrique. That's what they will tell you. Then they surnamed their man Africanus because he conquered the land of not cold,
and
or
because they
Afrique.
called all the lands after women, they called the land Africa
and made it feminine. So now, for you to say that there's a nation in that land using that word, it's not historically accurate because they do not have them vowels. You understand? He understand. Okay, that's your man. You can't sell him out, but you hear me. All right, y'all understand? Proto-synactic. That's all languages before modern day vowel sound. You know what else is a proto-synactic language?
You're not going to understand that.
Hebrew, right? Hebrew don't have U, E, O. It don't got that. All they got is the A and the I, right? Got two vowel sound. That's why it cannot be Israel. It can't. It's Yasharal, right? Because that's the only vowels they got. It can't be Jehovah. They can't say that. They don't have the letter J. They do not have the vowel Va. They don't say this. That's why his name is Yahweh, right? Now what we're trying to explain to our brothers, the people of that land spoke proto-synactic languages. So they're not going to pronounce Africa. That's not in a dialect. That's all Brother Eliel was trying to say.
And so like what I also wanted to mention too was the fact when he was saying in Africa, they didn't say Africa, we're describing us. They're the country. See what I'm saying? So that's why I understand, but that's why it is when we were trying to explain the bywords, because they're trying to group you and your people to be like them and say you're African, because they don't want to say all y'all black, but they won't agree to that. That's why you go to an African and you say you're an African when one is from Zimbabwe and another from Ethiopia, he gonna look at you crazy. You see what I'm saying? So he's not gonna say, what did you call me? I'm not an African. This is where I'm from, but what I am is what he is. You see what I'm saying? That's when the whole point when we were bringing it out was the fact that they lumped you all because of your color and gave you a color, so now you can't identify yourself.
Right.
Because you can't identify yourself, you will never know who you were.
Right.
Since you don't know who you were, you don't know what kind of power you had, because your God said, I'm only dealing with a certain people. That's when he said you're set apart, because if they lumped you with that, he would never be able to call you certain people. You will not be separate. Therefore, he won't be your God. He'll be all their gods.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? So that's why we were just trying to explain that for someone to even do that, it was all from the beginning that they had made a tumult and say, what can we do to make this nation fall? Was by putting us all together, saying we look the same, We're going to talk the same when we don't, because that's why he explained everyone has a different dialect. At the same time, everything else that had to happen is because those nations got together and said, this powerful nation rules over us. So what can we do to stop it? We're going to change who they are, what they look like, their nationality, everything. And once we can do that and have you agree to it and call yourself an African now, because what's that piece of paper I gave you? Those two guys on it? Those two guys right there, the ones who controlled and ruled over that. They conquered. That's the whole point. We're trying to say that because we fled and they took us, snatched us, and brought us over here. Now they're gonna say, you know what? Who came up? Who got an idea? We're black. You're a Negro. You're an African American. You are an Afro American. You are just another byword. That's all it is. So everything before, that's what we're seeing in the conversation, it don't even matter because it's just a byword until you know who you are, which is this right here. These people on this chart, that's what mattered. It didn't even matter as far as which I was arguing about to say who said what and the way the tongue. It don't matter, bro, because right here, these people, that's the ones who matter. Because if you didn't know who this was, you want to know who you are or where you come from, because that nation, the 18s right there, they're not even that nation no more. They call themselves something else. And that's why they want you to say, love us. Because he wants you to love everybody. He don't want you to love everybody. He wants you to love your people. But you don't know who your people are. Because he lump sums you into a whole continent. You see what I'm saying?